Hello, I'm Betz Golden here today with Rinea foil paper. I was making up some 4x4 tiles for the Creativation Rinea foil paper booth, and I wanted to share with you something that I get a lot of questions on, and there's quite a bit of not confusion, but maybe a few more tips could be beneficial when stamping on Rinea foil paper. So before I start on telling you the two ways that I like to stamp on this, I wanted to show you the 4x4 tiles that I made for the booth that has ink of some sort on them. This one is just a Stazon ink, and it has the almost postcard stamp. This stamp I'm going to be using today. This is actually the founder and owner of Rinea, her grandma's script. It's her grandma's writing. Isn't that cool? It's in German. So I went ahead and just used a Stazon ink on this and stamped it like you would just a piece of paper. Now, when you use Stazon ink, you need to make sure that you let it kind of set up and dry. You do not want to use a heat gun on this foil paper unless you're looking for that buckled, rustic, worn, grungy look, because it will do that to your paper. So what I like to do is I like to stamp it and then just set it aside and let it dry naturally. Now, you are going to notice that from time to time, when I use ghost ink, I will hit it with a heat gun, but I don't hit it for more than a couple seconds because I can get away with it and it does its job in that amount of time. This is the next one that I did with some ink. Again, this is the Stazon. I used the Stazon ink and I embossed it first, and then I went over it with the ink. This one, I did a couple different things on this. I ran this through with the cloud embossing folder, and then I applied some ghost ink, and you can see some of the color on the clouds has been removed. I rubbed that off, and then I went over it with some blue Stazon ink and set it aside to dry. Nice stormy type sky. This is one of my favorites. For this, I simply tore some of the Rinea foil paper. I lightly adhered it, and then I ran it through my embossing folder, my embossing machine, and I just first removed the ink with the ghost ink, and then I added ink back in some spots with red Stazon ink. Basically the same thing on this one, only I die cut out these little leaves, applied them first and then ran it through, removed the ink, and I did not add any extra ink on that one. This one, this is a fun one. I actually die cut this piece out and just adhered it to this piece right back here that had run through the embossing folder, and I had used some Stazon on top of that. On the lifted edges of the embossed hearts, I used ghost ink and I removed the color. This is just straight up stamping. Isn't that gorgeous? This is just a Brutus Monroe stamp I have in my stash. I used blue ink and just stamped on it. Same with this one, red ink. It's a Brutus Monroe one. I like those stamps for this project because they're 6x6. More of a, has, like the pipes and stuff in it. So, and then this one, I was just playing with my ink. So I smeared some Stazon on it. Then I took Stazon remover and dabbed a little bit and then just rubbed it all over, and this is what I got. I did this on purpose. It's for a technique wall, and so it was kind of fun just to see what would happen. A lot of this is just play and discovery. Then this one is just the little cute stamp set that Rinea has to offer, and I stamped it in a couple different colors. And then this again is just that beautiful 6x6 stamp by Brutus Monroe with Stazon ink. So let me show you the two ways that I like to use stamps on my foil paper. The first way is the ghost ink. And for this, you're going to need a stamp, obviously. If it is a clear stamp, you're going to want a foam. With the ghost ink, the darker the foil paper, the better. And glossy works best with this, I've discovered. The ones that have the sweet little stars on it, you can use it, it works. It has some really cool effects, but if you're looking for more of a clear image, definitely stick to the glossy and the darker. If you were to do this technique on silver, it would not show up because what it's removing is the color and the underlay is silver. So it's pointless to do it at that point. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your ghost ink and you're going to just ink up your stamp. I like to take and place my paper on the stamp first. The reason is because if I try to take and put the stamp on the paper, on this foam, it slides because it's a slick surface. So this applies for whatever stamp I'm using. And then from there, I just apply some pressure and call it good. I'm going to take and just hit this with a little bit of heat very quickly. Then from here, I'm going to take a wet paper towel and just start rubbing. And the more you rub, the more color it will remove. And see how that's starting to just lift. I like that the ghost ink leaves like a gray type image on it, so I know where it is. And you're just going to remove until you get it to your liking. And it just continues to just pull that color away. So for the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to do the Stazon. And for the Stazon ink, it really doesn't matter what color you use on it. It's going to work. We're not lifting ink. We're not taking anything away. We're simply adding ink. This is really easy. I'm going to use this sheet for this. This is the turquoise. And we're going to do the midnight blue. And again, I'm just going to ink up my stamp. Very carefully pop this on and just press. I'm actually going to take this and press it down into that stamp. You don't want to slide it. You don't want to massage it because that'll slide it around. And I'm just making sure that I hit those spots, getting it on my hands, because, you know, that's what you do when you're crafting. It's all about the project. And then we're going to lift it away, and boom, there it is. Beautiful. So these are two different ways that you can stamp with the ghost ink and also with the Stazon ink. You just want to let the Stazon ink dry because it will smudge, and I don't like to hit it with heat. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. Check out the links down below to find Rinea products, and feel free to share. Until next time, happy crafting.